We now turn our attention to the upcoming fight, Saturday 15th July 2017, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Arthur Abraham. This will be on ITV box office, I understand, the second of Chris Eubank Jr.'s fights to be shown via this method. He did fight Reynold Quinlan the other day on ITV box office. I think it's a decent fight. It's probably time Eubank Jr. starts to fight some more, what should we say, challenging opponents. And Arthur Abraham definitely has a record which stacks up. He's a name. You know, he's a former world champion. He's fought everybody, Abraham. We'll have to say that Abraham isn't at his best. He lost his belt fighting away from home. He had a big fight defending his title against Gilberto Ramirez, April 2016. Went over to the MGM Grand, Las Vegas, and lost his title, a unanimous decision. I've seen the fight. It wasn't a very good performance from Abraham. He just went over there, adopted a peekaboo defence. It was very defensive. There wasn't much offence, and Ramirez was just able to pick him off from range. I mean, Ramirez is a very rangy character. He's got a big reach. He's quite tall, and yeah, he just beat Abraham up. It was very easy. Abraham didn't really put up a fight. It was as if he came to give up his belt. So it was a very poor performance, especially someone like Abraham who's fought everyone. You know, he's fought the Andre Wards at 168. You know, he's fought the Durrells, Andre Durrell, Jermaine Taylor. I mean, that's going back a long way. That's back in like 2010, 2009. He's fought, you know, famous fight against Martin Murray. Got a split decision over Murray. He's fought Robert Stieglitz many times, Paul Smith a couple of times. He's coming off wins against Robin Krasnicki and Tim Robin Leehaug. Those are the two victories he's got following the Ramirez loss, coming into the fight with Chris Eubank Jr. Looking towards the other corner, Chris Eubank Jr. You know, the most famous fight is the one he lost against Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, that's probably the best fighter he's fought, 2014, so a few years ago. He's come on a long way, though, since then, Eubank Jr. I think that fight came a bit too early for him in his career. If you look at his record up to that point, he really hadn't faced anyone. And, you know, Billy Joe Saunders, great fighter, great amateur background. I think he's a very smart guy. He's a very smart boxer, Billy Joe Saunders. He knows his way around the ring. He knows how to win. He's not necessarily the most explosive boxer. He's not the most heavy-handed boxer, but he's very smart. He's tactically astute. His footwork is good. So he, at that stage, I think it was too much. If they fight now, this is the thing that needs to be built up now between Chris Eubank Senior and Frank Warren. It's going to be between they don't get on at all, but the money is there, so that fight it has to happen. I know Billy Joe kind of says, "Oh, I've got bigger things going on, being a world champion and talking about Golovkin and what have you." But when that fight does eventually happen, it's going to be massive. I think they're just building it. It'll gross a lot of money. It'll be a lot of interest, and it'll be a great fight. If we look at Eubank Jr. now, he's someone who has very quick hands. He's very fast. He's very explosive. I wouldn't say he's massively powerful. He has power, but I'm not going to say that he's like a, I don't know, Golovkin level of power. He's not a knockout merchant. It kind of builds up. He's a TKO man. But when he gets going with those stylish, flashy combinations, punches coming from all angles, uppercuts, hooks, whatever he wants really, it's very entertaining. And yeah, I do like Eubank Jr. I like how he conducts himself as well. A very intelligent guy, very cerebral. Obviously, some of his comments are a bit flash. That's obviously the influence from his father, but that's fair enough. You're going to get that with Chris Eubank Senior around. You're gonna get fireworks, and he's obviously picked up some of the razzmatazz from his father. But yeah, it's time for him to come into he's come into the peak phase of his career, and this is a good way to start. Abraham is an experienced operator. The thing is, I can just see Eubank outworking him. Whether Abraham's able to survive the full distance as he did against Ramirez or not, I don't know. But ultimately, I think Eubank will come through. I could see Abraham going the distance in a similar sort of fight as Ramirez. He's a very proud man. He's a very hard man. He's a very strong. The way Eubank Jr. himself has described him in the early press conferences. He's a very strong man. Abraham, and he's a hard man, and I think I don't see him quitting. He's not that type. Even against Ramirez, he must have known he was losing, but he just carried on till the end. He's a soldier, so it also depends on his attitude to this fight. I don't know whether he's thinking. I mean, really depends. A lot depends on whether Abraham thinks he's just here for the check, or whether he's thinking, you know what, I've still got it in me to win another world title. He might think that. He has to think that if he wants to win this fight. But I just think Eubank now is too quick. He's too young as well. He's a young man, Eubank. We're talking about a 27-year-old man. Peak condition always comes in peak physical condition. So for me, I think it's a tough night for Abraham. Really, he'd have to increase his output. He against Ramirez, he was looking a bit slow. That peekaboo defence thing, it gets frustrating after a while. You're watching and you're thinking, we know he's got power in those hands. When's he going to go for it? If he lets Eubank get into a rhythm and just start opening up on him, it's just going to turn into some sort of exhibition. I'm just not sure Abraham can get that level of output going. We turn to the odds. We've got Chris Eubank Jr. available at 1-5. So it's fairly short price favourite, but still bettable, 1-5. Or you can use it in an accumulator. You've got Arthur Abraham coming at around 4-1. 4-1 is the price on Abraham. The draw, you're looking at 28-1. I don't see a draw. I think there'll be a result, and the result I would lean towards is probably Eubank on points. If you fancy a stoppage, I think it'd be a late one because Abraham's a very strong man. I don't see him getting sparked out. I see him, if it does get stopped, I see him sort of retiring. A body shot or something like that, ending it. I don't see Eubank just lamping him with a big shot. But yeah, it's definitely a good fight. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely moving in the right direction in terms of Eubank Jr.'s career. Looking forward to bigger fights. I mean, he has talked about De Gale. De Gale is at slightly higher weight. No, this is at 168, isn't it? So yeah, that'll be the same weight. De Gale. I mean, that'll be a really tough fight for Eubank Jr. De Gale coming off that tremendous fight against Badu Jack, a world champion for some time now, De Gale. But I'll tell you what, that's a great fight. I don't know which way it goes, to be honest. De Gale, difficult southpaw. Eubank Jr., flashy, stylish, talented. Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. There's plenty in the future for Eubank Jr. There was talk of a Golovkin fight. It never came through. It ended up being offered to Kell Brook by Eddie Hearn. Brook took it and got his name out there. But yeah, anyway, going back to this fight, the verdict on this one will be Chris Eubank Jr. I think 1-5 is okay. You can take it in an accumulator. If you want to lay the juice and put down a bigger amount, you can do. I don't really see Abraham. I can't really see how Abraham wins. It'd have to be one shot probably, but I don't even see him as a big puncher like that. The only way I could see Abraham winning would be with a heavy-handed body shot, which, could have a devastating effect on Eubank. But I just don't see it. I'm going to go with Chris Eubank Jr. at 1-5 for this one.